Hey there, 7th grade. This is the first video in our unit over basic computation, which is just a review of all of the computation methods you should have been doing in 6th grade. In this first video, we're going to review the concept of integers and absolute value. So the first question I have for you is, what are integers? Well, if you remember from last year, integers are just your whole numbers. So for example, 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. And then also their opposites. And so the opposites of those positive numbers would be the negative numbers, like -1, -2, -3, and so on and so forth. And so what we can use is a number line to help us order and understand our integers a little bit better. So a number line, notice, has arrows on both ends, meaning it goes on forever and ever in both directions. And if I wanted to start this number line, I might find a spot for 0. And then to the right of 0 are going to be all of my positive integers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. To the left of 0 are all of my negative integers. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, and -8. Okay, and so notice in the negative world, what I like to call it, these numbers sort of go backwards from what you're used to in positive world. But this is a good way to help you when you're ordering integers, which we'll do in a moment. Right now, I want to focus on how to write integers. So for each of these word situations, we're going to write an integer, so either a positive or a negative whole number, to represent that situation. So number 1, a 3-yard gain. A gain represents a positive value, so this integer would be +3. A 75, or number 2, 8 degrees below normal. Below represents a negative direction, so this integer would be -8. Notice for positive integers, I do not need a plus sign, but for negatives, I do. Number 3, a $75 deposit. Well, when you deposit money, you gain money, so that's a positive increase. So that's a positive 75. A 21-pound loss, that represents a negative value, so -21 here. 5 miles above sea level, that would be positive, so +5. And then 2 strokes under par. If you play golf, par is a golf term. Under represents a negative direction, so -2 would be the number there. Okay, next I want to look at how to compare and order integers. Okay, so that's what we use the number line for. If you look back up there at the top, numbers to the right are always larger than numbers to the left. So for instance, all of the positive numbers are greater than the negative numbers. So the further to the right you are on this number line, okay, the larger value that you have. So as you go to the right, your numbers get larger, and then as you go to the left, those numbers get smaller. So we're going to use these inequality symbols, the less than and the greater than signs. This is a less than sign here for those of you that need to review that. And then this symbol here is a greater than sign. And we're going to use these signs to compare these different integers. So for number 7, I have -12 and 5. Well, since I have a negative and a positive, I know a positive is always greater than a negative, so I am going to use a less than symbol here because -12 is less than +5. For number 8, I have 2 negatives I'm comparing, -7 and -23. Well, if you think about the number line, okay, here's -7 up here. -23 is going to be to the left of -7 on the number line, so that means -23 is smaller than -7. So here I would write a greater than sign. -7 is greater than -23. Number 9, I'm comparing 1 and 5. You know that 5 is larger than 1, so this would be a less than sign. 1 is less than 5. Number 10, -18 compared to -15. Again, think about a number line. Let's put -18 right here. negative 15 would be closer to 0 than negative 18. So it would be to the right. So that means that negative 15 is larger than negative 18. So I'm going to use a less than sign here. Negative 18 is less than negative 15. Okay, for number 11, I'm comparing negative 13 and 0. 0 is always to the right of the negative numbers, so it's larger than negatives. So I'll use a less than sign here. Negative 13 is less than 0. And then finally, number 12, we're comparing negative 29 and negative 28. Again, think about a number line. If negative 29 is right here, negative 28 would be 1 unit to the right of negative 29. Remember, you're backwards in negative land, so that means that negative 28 is larger, and I'll use a less than sign. Negative 29 is less than negative 28. Okay, we're going to expand that now to several integers. On 13 and 14 here, we're going to order each set of integers from least to greatest. So we'll start with our negative numbers and then work our way up to our positive numbers. So for number 13, let's find all of the negative numbers first. So I see negative 9, negative 5, and negative 1. And thinking about a number line, which of those numbers would be furthest to the left? Well, that would be negative 9. So that means negative 9 is my smallest integer in this list. Okay, and then after negative 9, negative 5 would come next, going from left to right, and then negative 1 would be the largest negative value on this list. So now I'm done with these negative values. I see 0 on this list, so 0 is going to be my next number because 0 is in the middle of my negatives and my positives. And then after my negatives and 0 have been used, then it's all the positives, which you've been hopefully knowing how to order those for a while. It would be 2, and then 4, and then 13. Okay, let's do that for number 14 now. Again, we're going to find the negatives first. I have negative 4, negative 10, and negative 18. On a number line, the furthest to the left would be negative 18, so that's my smallest integer, followed by negative 10, and then negative 4. I don't have 0 in this list, so I can go to my positives now. My smallest positive integer is 9, followed by 12, and then 15. Okay, the last concept I want to talk about in this video is what's called absolute value. Absolute value represents a number's distance from 0 on a number line. So it's the distance from 0 on a number line. The symbol for absolute value looks like 2 vertical bars, and then you would have a number or you could have a variable inside that, and this is read as the absolute value of, in this case, x. So for number 15 here, this is read as the absolute value of 7. And when it asks you to evaluate each expression, it just means what is the value of that number. The absolute value of 7, well, 7 is 7 spots away from 0. If you look at a number line, here's 0 and here's positive 7. The distance between those is 7, so the absolute value of 7 is just 7. For number 16, I have negative 20. If I think about the distance between 0 and negative 20, here's 0. Negative 20 would be to the left of 0. But the distance is still 20 units. We don't measure distance in positive or negative. So the absolute value of negative 20 is just 20. And then for number 17, same concept. The absolute value of negative 4 is 4 because negative 4 is 4 units away from 0 on a number line. All right, so if you had any questions over this video, I want you to write those down somewhere on the note sheet. You can use the back side, and that way you remember to ask those questions the next time you're in class. Until I see you then, have a nice day. You're all wonderful people. Take care.